David. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, David, thank you again for taking the time to be on our show. For our viewers who may not be as familiar with you as I am, would you please take a few minutes to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your background?
David Schwartz. I am a Managing Director of Category Management, Market Research, and Consumer Insights at the Conair Corporation, Conair LLC. And I've been in CPG my whole life in various roles, all the way from retail to DSD with PepsiCo and Cadbury and Pfizer, and now Conair LLC.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, David. That is a long, successful career. How do you feel right now with the role you're in? And I'm sure you're very proud of your achievements, but how is it going for you so far?
It's going extremely well. I love it. Love what I do. Love my team. I have a team of 10 people that report to me, and we do a lot of stuff. We cover all the bases.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah. Good to hear, David. So, David, from your perspective, when your leadership or your CEO comes to you and they say, hey, great job, what are they typically expecting from you? What are they counting on you for?
They're counting on myself and my team to really, we do a number of things. Like I said, we cover all the bases. We handle business intelligence, we handle market research, we handle all the sales analytics and sales presentations for retailers. We are category captains in the majority of the retailers, I would say 90% of them. And we also do space planning for all those retailers. So our CEO and leadership will say, great job, when, of course, we're advancing the cause of the company, advancing the footprint of the company, growing the business, and most of all, growing the category and growing the relationship with the retailer.
That's great to hear, David. So in your world, I want to give the viewers a little bit of flavor for what goes on in your world, especially in context of when you are helping your internal stakeholders better understand the customer. Can you talk a little bit about how you do that?
We tackle it from a number of areas. We will first look at our data sources, whether it's an IRI or a Nielsen. We'll look at panel. Of course, that's one of the first easy go-tos. But most importantly today, with the way research is going and how retailers want more information about the consumer and what's happening with the consumer, is we utilize market research, shopper journeys, shopper intercepts, and even a community of people that we tap into. And we ask them questions, and we really get down to the heartbeat of what they're looking for. And it could be from a shopping experience to a product experience. Again, it runs many variations. And you can never not do enough. How can I say this? One research point is exactly that. It's one research point. It's going to lead to more questions. And if you do multiples, it ultimately it points to something. I always say if you have 3 different research mechanisms that point to pretty much the same thing, then you can really say, yeah, we're pretty much for sure that's what they're thinking. It's really about getting into the heart of the consumer. It's so important. It's just extremely important today. You just can't use historical numbers. You really have to get into what they're thinking.
No, I completely concur with you, David, and thank you for saying that. With a lot of the work that we do in our space as well, in the retail, in the CPG space, yes, shopper journeys, intercepts, you're absolutely right. They provide multiple viewpoints of what's going on with the shopper in their purchase journeys. And something that you said made me smile, which is something that I learned early on in my career from my mentors, was don't expect one research project to answer all your queries and to remove all your confusion. But you can expect one research project to elevate your confusion to the next level.
And that's totally true.
Right.
we like I said, we do multiple research projects every week, and that has just come up with something we're working on. And it's like, sometimes leadership will have the expectation that, oh, this one project's going to handle all our answers, and it's actually not that. And it's now we have to dig deeper. We have to understand, the demographics and the details of each demographic and how they feel about the product and how they use the product and what features they want to have on the product and what kind of conjoint analysis do we have to do to help marketing make the right product decisions. And it goes on and on and on. And, ultimately you have to make a decision and move forward, but you really want to make sure that you have as much information to make the wisest decision possible.
Right.
It's not rocket science. It's just put yourself in that seat and ask yourself the questions, and it really helps get to where you need to be.
Yeah, David, I think what you just said is really important. And I want our viewers to focus on what you said, which was really helping internal stakeholders and guiding them in this process. I completely share your experience where often we'll have clients that will come in the same way that you said, where they'll expect one project to just clear the mist, answer all the questions they've had now, in the past, in the present, in the future. And sometimes, the guidance or the counseling that we need to give them is similar to yours, which is focus on this one for the objectives that it has, and clearly defining those. In fact, something that we like to do is help internal stakeholders really look at the project from a business impact standpoint, right? So, okay, if the idea is we want to get people to buy more, well, what does that mean? Buy more in which channel? Is there a target? Is there a sales target that we're trying to hit? Right? And as closely as we can to defining the financial impact of that project is so critical, as you know, especially with research and insights and shopper journeys. If a clear business impact or outcome is not defined at the get-go, then, as you know, every question seems important, right? And every insight seems nice to have. And then all of a sudden, the project goes over cost, over budget, over time. So that's one counseling that we do for a lot of our clients, is tied to a specific business impact, and then you won't be dissatisfied with the results when they come in, right? Where if it doesn't answer all your questions, but it still answers that one key question and it helps achieve that one key business impact, then you've hit it out of the park. And if you get other benefits, other questions answered, well, good for you.
Exactly. Today's environment is changing so much, so rapidly, with the impact of inflation on consumers. We've done shopper journeys and we learned a lot. We learned that consumers shop each channel differently for a different reason, for a different purpose. That can help a manufacturer or a retailer determine what products should I carry, how many should I carry, what price point should I carry. One of the most alarming things that's happening today that I think impacts every manufacturer is twofold. One is if they're a private label manufacturer, they're probably happy because a lot of retailers are expanding private label footprints, starting to because of inflationary pressures. But it's also that I think there's one critical error that retailers have to be careful with, and that is the Amazon factor. And everybody knows, okay, we know who Amazon is, we know what it's all about. However, consumers want variety. They want to shop. They want to go to a retailer. They want to find the product that they're going there for. And what's happening is retailers today are under pressure to reduce inventory, reduce the number of SKUs, maybe repurpose that space. And there are lots of financial reasons why, but the risk on the other side is, will you lose a consumer? Will you lose a guest? Because what we find is that if they can't find it, they're going to go on their phone, they're going to order it for next day delivery, and that's it, they're done. you've
Yeah.
lost the guest. And so that's one of the risks. And I find you have to constantly be doing research. You have to constantly be checking in with the consumer, constantly be checking in and making sure where are their heads at, what's going on, what's motivating them, where are they shifting. Because if you don't, what you learned 6 months ago could be totally different today.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true, David. And when the pandemic hit, since we as a consulting shop specialize more on shopper insights, shopper journeys,
Yes.
The minute when people settle down and they realized, oh, this is not going away in 30, 60 days, and they knew that, okay, we're in it for the long haul. I can't tell you how busy we got immediately. Because all of a sudden, the calls we started getting we got a lot of calls from new clients that wanted to do shopper journeys. We also got a lot of calls, maybe even more, from existing clients that we had done shopper journey work maybe like a year or so ago. And they're like, hey, we need to update our journeys.
Yes.
The pandemic has sort of shifted everything. The more strategic, fire-thinking, clients called us like June, July of 2020. And then for us, that avalanche sort of began then. And I remember like Jan, Feb of 2021, we were like knee deep. Like I had to not take new calls and go on interviews and hiring calls because we needed to hire people. That's how busy we got. So to your point, that was a testament to, more astute researchers and marketers and sales experts realizing, wait a minute, what we knew that worked like 3 months ago, the whole thing has shifted now.
Yeah. And it continues to shift.
It continues to shift. Continues to shift.
Yeah.
And it's a good problem to have, especially for companies and experts like you that rely on data, that focus on the shopper. It's a good challenge to have to continue to study, the shopper. So let's dive into that. I know you're a big proponent of shopper journeys. You do a lot of that. You really are a student of understanding the shopper behavior as well. Let's talk a little bit about, your last shopper journey project, or whichever one comes to your mind. Can you help our viewers understand what was the impetus, what was the driver that made you want to better understand the shopper journey, and then how you went about it, and then at the end, what was the impact on your business?
Yeah, I would say that the approach that I wanted to take with the last shopper journey we've done, which is pretty recent, is I wanted to get more into the mind of the consumer. It wasn't just the behavior of what they did at the shelf and when they got into the store. It was more, I wanted to understand the journey they made prior to the store. In fact, right from the moment of thinking that they needed to purchase something. Like, what made them make the decision that they need to purchase one of our products or our category? And then how did they go about making that decision? Was it research online? Was it research in store? And then how did they choose that path? Well, what retailer did they think of when they thought that they needed that? And we followed that path. We followed that path all the way to the channel they picked, to the retailer they picked. And then what were they thinking when they got inside? And how did they approach the shelf? And how did they shop the shelf? And how did they shop the perimeter of the store? So we learned a number of things, from their mental path all the way to their physical path in the store. And again, you could do decision trees ad nauseum, But and depending on which way you go with it, you really start to think about how am I going to lay out the products on the shelf based on how this consumer shops. Two things we really learned coming out of that. One was that they started to look at, and we're in the beauty industry, they were really thinking about hair type before anything. So we've utilized that to our advantage in dealing with products and retailers and things like that. The other is we've also learned that, again, each channel has a different approach. So this has enabled us to really be more specific, more detailed with each of our retailers as to our approach that we need to take with each retailer. One size does not fit all. And however, again, you can't create a gazillion products and make sure that it's financially, doable. You have to, that's really where at some point there's an equilibrium between the research and the operational challenges and the retailer challenges. Somewhere in there is a sweet spot. And that's what we're always trying to find. We're trying to find that sweet spot.
No, that's an excellent summary, David. Thank you for sharing that. What let me just double click on a couple of things you said, because I think there's a lot of gold there. I really like the approach that you took. A lot of times when we're consulting with clients in the retail and the CPG spaces, what we find is that the focus is really at the point of sale. And the focus tends to be on how can we do and optimize the experience for the shopper, for the guest at the point of sale. Whereas what you said was different. Where you focused on was at that awareness stage. Yes. What is it, when does that journey begin for the shopper? And this is something I really want our viewers to focus on, because that is so strategic and so important in understanding, the shopper journey, as you know, David. By focusing on at the awareness stage and focusing on what are the triggers that prompt them, and then sort of following the shopper from that awareness stage to how their mental decision making is going on, to how they get to a store, even the choice of retailer, and then what they're doing in the store is absolutely the right way to do this. And this is what I would like our viewers to also take from this conversation, because if you tend to stay focused at the point of sale, yes, the point of sale is so critical and it's so important. But the analogy that I like to give our viewers and our clients also is, it's almost like when you go to shop on Amazon or inside a Walmart or any store, right? And this is everyday shopper behavior. That's, we're all shoppers, we're all consumers. There are so many products and brands where we go in and we have our blinders on. The competitor of the brand that we really like, they could be doing the best marketing and sales and packaging and placement campaign ever, right? If that is a brand where we're going in and we know what we want to get, we have our blinders on, we don't even look at all of this other noise, we go straight in, we pick it up.
True.
That happens to all of us every day.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, when there are places where we get attracted to a pricing strategy or a new shelf placement, a lot of times that happens for brands where maybe we are not yet bought into at that level, right? Mm-hmm. We are open to looking at other brands, evaluating, doing some comparison, things like that. And the point I'm trying to make here is, for our viewers is, David, That happens for brands that are hyper focused at the point of sale and are not doing what you did, right?
Correct.
Which is understanding the whole journey from that awareness stage. So that is something I thought was really important, and I wanted to just underline it on why that is so important to do it. The point of sale is important, and we recommend doing a lot of real-time, in-the-moment stuff to capture those insights fresh. But looking at these shopper journeys in the way that you did, David, which is, looking at them from the awareness stage. In fact, we recommend look at it almost like a cyclical journey. That's more circular versus linear. So it's starting at the awareness stage. Then there's a to-store stage where shoppers are planning their trips. They're thinking about what they want to do. That stage could be just half an hour, or it could be a few days, right? And then there is a in-store stage where all those activities inside the store are happening. And then there's also the post-store stage that we recommend, which is they've bought your product or your service, but don't let go of their hand just as yet. Focus on the usage part as well. Is that experience matching up to what you sold them on, right?
Exactly.
Because that's when the circle gets completed, as you know. And so the next time when the cycle or the trigger happens and the journey begins, now the journey will begin in your favor versus any of your competitors.
Exactly. There is a heart and a mind part of every shopper and every shopper journey. And the successful companies will leverage both parts, the emotional and the physical, and make sure that they're hitting it on all cylinders in each of those parts. And in order to do that, you have to consistently get feedback, make sure your customers are happy, that your satisfaction scores are high, and that you continue to deliver on what you exactly said, which is what you've promised. Because today, more than ever, they're critical of that. They are very critical. They don't want to hear that whether it's a, whatever brand it is, they want to look at that brand as their brand that delivers their needs and that it meets their needs. So again, you have to really deliver on that in order to win your customer over.
Yeah. No, absolutely, David. You hit it on the head, because something that I sometimes see missing from when clients come to us and when they show us the journey work that they've done. Another thing that dovetailing on the experience part that you shared, something that I want our viewers to also focus on is capturing these moments of truth that happen or that get revealed in these shopper journey exercises. So these moments of truth, David, as you know, I like to think of them like, Lego blocks that we all played with as kids.
Yes.
Where, the Lego blocks will connect, one block will connect to another through a certain point. And that point is what we call the moment of truth that's happening in your shopper's journey. And for companies, David, like yours, that focus on those moments of truth, they get the benefit of converting that moment of truth into what we call a peak point for the customer, for the shopper, right? Where you've addressed what was important to them in that stage, whether it was the need for more information, whether it was the need to, locate the product, whatever it was. You identified that moment of truth, you gave them what they wanted, so you customize the experience for them in that stage. And now that moment of truth became a peak moment for you and the customer. What this enables the customer or the shopper to do is they will now go walk into the next stage of their journey holding your hand versus a competitor. And for a competitor that overlooked that or could not address that, for that competitor, that moment now becomes a pain point. because it's a pain point for the customer. They were looking at the competitor. They could not get what they wanted. Now it's a pain point. Every time, it's almost like magic. You keep addressing those pain points, you keep customizing the experience, and then all of a sudden you're building this sort of wall around the customer, right? Where competitors can't penetrate that wall and customers can't see beyond that wall. Because it's like, oh, why should I waste my time looking at something else? I'm getting everything that I need.
Yeah.
Right?
No, totally. It's totally true. And I'll say this, manufacturers, retailers, they can't, consumers are complex. They are, again, I go back to it's touch, it's feel, it's emotion, there's a lot of factors that go into, and I watch retailers today changing, and they're trying to be financially efficient. And many times I personally feel that they're moving away from being merchants, and and they can't lose that. I mean, if once you lose the fun of shopping, the fun of browsing, the fun of doing these things that shoppers love to do, then what's left? Then maybe I'll just go buy it online. I don't know. It's we can't lose that. We can't lose. It's the whole journey. We have to understand the whole journey. We have to really understand each point. You have to deliver on your message, and you have to follow up with the consumer, right, in order to win with them. And that takes additional research and additional shopper journeys and additional, it just doesn't end.
Right. No, I hear you. Thank you so much for saying that, David. I know we're almost at the end of our time, but I wanted to ask you one final question, David. Just based on how I've come to know you and how you think, I know you're always looking to improve things as well. In hindsight, if you could turn the clock and do this shopper journey project all over again, or if you had the opportunity to do another shopper journey project, is there anything that you would do different to improve?
I would say the only thing I would do differently is and you're going to laugh at this, but I would do more of it. I would, I would go deeper. I would include more people, maybe, go deeper with ethnicity, greater quantities of ethnicity, to really dive in and just get even deeper. But that has a cost factor to it. So, the more people you invite to do shop alongs and the more there's a cost. So, again, that's what I said. There's a slash cost benefit, equilibrium that has to occur. And the other thing is really getting into something that's near and dear to my heart and is not easy, but something I've always wanted to do is getting more into predictive. Are there measures and factors that you can look at that can predict behavior prior to the purchase? And that is possible. And again, that's a deeper study as well. Those would be the two things.
Wonderful. Well, that's very wise of you to recognize that there is a need to do more and more of this. And I really appreciate you saying that. I also think your comments about diving into implicit behaviors, diving into trying to better understand how shoppers make their decisions or how they buy before they buy is so critical. We also see that as an evolution of how shopper journey techniques are evolving. And not just us, I'm also noticing others in the field are also incorporating behavioral techniques like facial coding, eye tracking, biometrics into the traditional shopper journey tools. So I see that as a testament to what you just said. I think a lot of other companies, including ours, are moving in that direction because we're noticing that is something that needs to be added into shopper journey formats.
Yes, micro expressions, whether you want, tracking the emotions at the point of purchase through, neural networks. That is definitely coming in the future, and it ties into what I said, which is the heart and the mind. It allows you to get a glimpse of that, because those are hidden factors that you really can't see.
Right.
So you have to find some way to, create a metric for it.
Right. Perfect, David. I think that was absolutely on point. Thank you so much for your experience shares and your thoughts. I think viewers will definitely get a lot of value from this segment. So thank you again.
Well, thank you, Nitin. I appreciate your time, and maybe we'll do this again sometime.
We will. We definitely will. There is a sequel on the lines. Take care, David.
All right. Thank you, Nitin. Take care.